You see, routines are important. And without routine, what is a man? Without routine that you can apply discipline to, how do you accomplish? And those are rhetorical questions because you can't. So then we come down to formulas. And there are formulas for inevitability. And I say it frequently because before we get to this premium platform, I freely give this. But the people who pay attention, right? So because I give it freely, people just take it as a rhetoric to repeat. But herein lies the formula. Your intention times what you desire times a high emotional frequency lead to an intentional outcome. Don't ever underestimate that formula. And I'll tell you how I discovered it. I was in a relationship once where it had just become untenable for me as a man and my level of self-respect. And I said, I'm not leaving you, but I'm leaving the house and I'm going to be gone for a period. And I went and stayed at a brother's yard who, one of his yards, who didn't need it, for a month. And what I found myself was in a constant state of high emotional frequency. So I do public talks, and as a byproduct of that, I put up a notice, and within a day I had 3 paid speaking gigs. Within 3 days I had 9 paid speaking gigs, and then I just found myself in flow. And I found the information that I was consuming and what I was actually creating kept me in flow. And I said, what was missing when the low vibrational stuff was happening in the house was a high emotional frequency. And then I got the formula, because I always had the intention and I always had the desire. I desired to create this or to do this or to do that. But once I applied the high emotional frequency, every single thing I did worked. And then what was my greatest question? Because any intelligent man will always tell you, ask a better question, get a better answer. How do you stay in a high emotional frequency? Because you may have these challenges come at you in the world. Now that part you can't teach. That part you got to gain through experience. But I will give you my experience so you can learn vicariously through me to start to apply it. What I did was, whenever I came into a conflict, I stepped back, because sometimes you can be too close. Remember, I said we in the world, but we not of the world. And when I stepped back, do you know what I did? I became the objective observer. Completely objective. Like I took all my emotion out of it. And now I'm just watching. So I don't actually have to take on what they're emitting. Because before I wouldn't have been aware of my feminine aspect to receive, and I was receiving the wrong stuff. Shut that shit down. Remember what I said? We close the door and the windows of our house in order to govern our house. I learned that via experience, not from reading. It wasn't intellectual, it was practical. So when I took that on and I actually understood it and I adopted it, I did that across the board. So it was one of my brother's birthday, 50th, so it's a big one. And he sent me an invite, didn't have the location or any of this stuff. I hadn't spoken to him for a minute. I'd phoned him twice, but he's got family, missed the calls. I didn't take it personally. Now, when he phoned me, I missed a call, and then I called him back in the evening. And he said, you haven't phoned me, and he was quite upset. I said, we haven't spoken, but we're speaking now. And then I said, I actually called you twice. No, you didn't. There's no WhatsApp. I said, but I haven't called you on WhatsApp now. I called you by phone. So it's not a thing to be upset about because we're speaking and we haven't spoken. But he remained upset. And then I said, this is about something else. So what I said was, and this is verbatim, we seem to be going in ever decreasing circles. we're going to connect back at another time. And before I hung up, I said, King, I love you, you know. And then I hung up the phone because I have come to be so protective of my high emotional frequency that I will not enable anybody to interrupt that. That's my space. Remember my space? I own this page. Now you can reason with me, but you would have to tell me what is actually wrong. Because when I'm with my brothers, I'm transparent. If I'm on my face, you will know. If I am not in a fantastic place, you will know. Because you may possibly be able to help me get out of that place. But what I am not going to do is impose that low vibrational frequency on you. Now, if I'm going to do that, you are not going to disrespect me with any distraction. You are going to let me know what the actual problem is that I may be able to enable you with, and then I'm willing. But if you're just going to hit me with a low vibrational frequency, I'm out. I'm not doing it. And you're going to figure out, I remember what Dean said, just be naked, right? Because there's no vulnerability in brotherhood. You see, as we talk about these values and adopting them, there's no vulnerability in brotherhood. We're not fussy. We don't gossip. See, your man is you. That's your reflection. And that's why you choose particular family at a particular stage of life. So we don't do that. So there is no vulnerability unless we don't observe code. But that's the whole point of the tribe. See, a tribe follows code. And when we can identify our tribe, we just align. We align spiritually. We align in terms of our values. We align in terms of our expertise and business. And if you think about these 100 million corporations, they'll always put one person forward as an avatar. You rarely see that one that's in the back, diligently working. But these corporations are boards of expertise, you know. And we're not doing that because we lack the code. You see, Windows is Windows is Windows, any PC you put it in. So that means all PCs can communicate with exactly the same thing. So if I open up a Word document and I type it here and I put it in an email, my man can receive that halfway across the world immediately because of the same code. You see how simple it is as content.
The SigmaCarta YouTube channel is filled with content, but the difference between that and our premium Patreon platform is Patreon actually gives us the application of all the lessons we're learning on YouTube. SigmaCarta Community is designed for our personal, spiritual and entrepreneurial development. There's no way we can just hear information once and get it. So what we've done is we've broken it down into sections, lesson plans, seminars and courses so that we can actually adopt into our lives what we didn't with 48 Laws of Power. Even though we know all of the lines that sound impressive to our friends and we're still in exactly the same psychological place as when we first picked it up.